Hi. I didn't change, and I'm just going to go ahead and record this one. um, I've got some candles going, and I've got a computer in front of me, so I've got maybe some weird lighting as the sun goes down, but I thought it was nice lighting for a bit of a story. On Project Gutenberg, I found this collection. I think it would have been printed like a Blackwoods magazine, like a periodical. And it's from New York, and it's pulled together all sorts of things about Christmas. It's called The Book of Christmas, with an introduction by Hamilton W. Mabie and accompanying drawings by George Wharton Edwards. It's from 1909. And I would like to read to you some of the things from the section that they call When All the World is Kin. So there are some Christmas memories from people, and we're going to read some of those. So let's start with a memory from December 25th, 1871, by a woman named Amy Fay, who is studying music in Germany. She's in Berlin. It says, "Today is Christmas Day, and I have thought much of you all at home, and have wondered if you've been having an apathetic time as usual. I think we often spend Christmas in a most shocking fashion in America, and I mean to revolutionize all that when I get back. So long a time in Germany has taught me better. Here it is a season of universal joy, and everybody enters into it. Last night we had a Christmas tree at the S's, as we always do. We went there at 6:30, and it was the prettiest thing to see in every house, nearly, a tree just lighted or in the process of being so. As a separate family lives on each floor, often in one house would be 3 trees, one above the other, in the front rooms. The curtains are always drawn up to give the passers-by the benefit of it. They don't make a fearful undertaking of having a Christmas tree here, as we do in America. And so they are attainable by everybody. The tree is small to begin with, and nothing is put on it except the tapers and bonbons. It is fixed on a small stand in the center of a large square table covered with a white cloth, and each person's presents are arranged in a separate pile around it. The tree is only lighted for the sake of beauty, and for the air of festivity it throws over the thing. After a crisp walk in the moonlight, which I performed in the style of Johnny Look Up in the Air, for I was engaged in staring into house windows so far as it was practicable, we sat down to enjoy a cup of tea and a piece of cake. I had just begun my second cup when, presto, the parlor doors flew open, and there stood the little green tree, blossoming out into lights and throwing its gleam over the well-laden table. There was a general scramble and search for one's own pile, succeeded by deep silence and suspense while we opened the papers. Such a handshaking and embracing and thanking as followed, concluding with the satisfactory conviction that we each had just what we wanted. Germans do not despise the utilitarian in their Christmas gifts, as we do, but between these and their birthday offerings, expect to be set up for the rest of the year in the necessaries of life as well as in its superfluities. Presents of stockings, underclothes, dresses, handkerchiefs, soaps, nothing comes amiss, and everyone must give to everyone else. That is law." It sounds like Christmas to me. But that was someone's Christmas in Berlin in 1871, and it sounds like in America they weren't doing fun stuff. Here's Christmas in Burgundy by one Mr. Fairtuol, but it's translated by Henry W. Longfellow. Christmas in Burgundy. There's no year on this one, but it's 1909 or older. Probably 1908 or older. Every year, at the approach of Advent, people refresh their memories, clear their throats, and begin preluding in the long evenings of the fireside. Those carols whose invariable and eternal theme is the coming of the Messiah. They take from old closets, pamphlets, little collections, begrimed with dust and smoke, to which the press, and sometimes the pen, has consigned these songs. And as soon as the first Sunday of Advent sounds, they gossip, they gad about, they sit together by the fireside, sometimes at one house, sometimes at another, taking turns in paying for the chestnuts and white wine, but singing with one common voice the grotesque praises of the little Jesus. There are very few villages even which during all the evenings of Advent do not hear some of these curious canticles shouted in their streets to the nasal drone of bagpipes. In this case, the minstrel comes as a reinforcement to the singers at the fireside. He brings and adds his dose of joy, spontaneous or mercenary, it matters little which, to the joy which breathes around the hearthstone. And when the voices vibrate and resound, one voice more is always welcome. There, it is not the purity of the notes which make the concert, but the quantity, not qualitas, sed quantitas. Then, to finish at once with the minstrel. When the Savior has at length been born in the manger, and the beautiful Christmas Eve is past, the rustic piper makes his round among the houses, where everyone compliments and thanks him, and moreover gives him in small coin the price of the shrill notes with which he has enlivened the evening entertainments. And we will stop there for tonight with the bagpipes. If you enjoyed that, you can find more from that collection on Project Gutenberg. I'll link the document below, and you can check it out. There's all sorts of stuff. There's Christmas carols and all sorts of stuff in there from 1909. I think it probably would have been super fun to have to go through and to read during the Christmas season back then. Anyway, until we meet again, let's go read.